Sue, go ahead.
Just wanted to make some general commentaries. A lot of what is said here, I just talked to Mike about it. I think that you guys need to think about whether you want to post what is being said in here in its entirety, because we're talking about a lot of deep strategy that we don't want other people to know. We're dealing with a very shrewd group, so we don't want to give them any more ammunition that they already have.
They know far more than what we're talking about today.
Well, anyways, I think that if you look back, I've been trying to go through all of these things. The most common denominator here is education. Our little kids are being taught from elementary school on up that socialism is good, that capitalism is bad, that the United States is just another common country in the world and they shouldn't have any kind of allegiance to it. That is the most common denominator that we need to go after.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things in here at play. I mean, we have a lot of different things. I mean, it's overwhelming if you can just start dissecting all of that. The thing is that there are different groups in the United States that are also focusing on this. And we have done a poor job in our state, the state GOP, in getting those groups focused in and disseminated. Of course, connected with the grassroots, because the grassroots, in their eyes, it's the Tea Party, the 9/12. They don't want anything to do with those groups. Okay, so we're getting no direction whatsoever from the GOP. We had to do it ourselves. We have to come to the strategy. Every town had to think about what to do and talk with ourselves and plan on a strategy that we can handle at our level. So I guess the expectation of the election was, well, the GOP is going to tell us what to do. The GOP is going to send out some kind of email saying, hey, you have to man all these stations, but none of that ever came. None of that ever came. I finally took matters into my own hands and asked people to help me out, watch over the different polling stations, as many as I could find. But this is like, we need to grab matters into our own hand and forget about the expectation that the GOP, as it stands at present, is going to tell us, is going to issue guidelines so we can move forward. It's not going to happen. They're not going to go after same-day registration vote. Then they're going to go after the fraud vote. They're just blinding their eyes and just going along to get along. And these are not the times for that anymore.
Okay, we need to get some more people in here, but I think the panel wants to respond to Sue, and then we have Amelia and Bob. Bob first, and then Amelia. Okay, go ahead.
One quick anecdote, and similar to what Jack said earlier. 2 cycles ago, Greg Niddick was running for the New Hampshire Senate out of Belknap County, and he was doing a poll watch, or not poll watch, but out front, holding a number of Republican signs, including that of Jeb Bradley. And in Guilford, where I'm from, the poll is the junior high school, or the middle school, whatever you want to call it nowadays. And a lot of the teachers were bringing their classrooms out, and I thought it was a good idea. Here's what's going on. This is what America is about as far as self-governance. Except this one teacher came out and brought her kids around, and she saw the Jeb Bradley sign, and one of the little boys said, "Who's that person?" You know what the teacher said? "That's a bad man."
Yeah.
That's a bad man. So you talk about being inculcated at the elementary or middle school level and being biasing against conservatism in the school system. That's an example I will never, ever forget. And that is what you are faced with. I mean, this is why we've lost the culture. We are now losing the politics because of it.
Okay, well, you had comments?
In the 70s, the Liberals decided and actually spoke about going after education, media, and courts as a mechanism. One of the things we did in the last session was we went after several issues in education. One of them was to try to expand the charter school, and the whole idea of parents' choice is to provide opportunities, if you're a conservative, that you don't send your kid for that thing. So this is what we were actually doing. That was the reason why we went after education. One of the important reasons. The second one is the quality of the education in general is just rotten.
Yeah.
But not in all towns, cities. I mean, towns there is, but in every town that I know of, the indoctrination exists. And so we did that, and we did the business scholarship things. Both of those have received really bad, dramatic pushback I got called down to the school board in Rye and also in Newcastle. Bill Duncan was at the center of this stuff. He was at the leader of the activity to try to squash any other mechanism for kids other than those public schools, charter schools, our public schools. And then when we opened up the funding, the Attorney General interpreted our opening up as being a way that actually we put a limit on the expenditure. And the explosion, you're probably all aware that they've basically tried to shut down the growth in new charter schools. That demands a public response. It's that really does. The second one is the business scholarship program, which is always called vouchers by the left. Which they're not vouchers, they are businesses getting involved, understanding that the people coming to them are not being trained properly. And they're willing to make those kind of contributions to allow kids to get to schools that actually meet their needs more. That takes public activism and public support, because you can assure the NEA will not support either of those efforts, and they will fight you tooth and nail. They'll try to drive anybody who's involved. In fact, Greg Hill was one of the principal sponsors of it. He's no longer in the legislature. He was targeted. The war is on, and that's the war. That's the real one.
Thank you. And these are two very important things that we as grassroots activists can do. Getting out the word on this program of business supporting education and the charter schools. And Regina, you have a comment?
And that scholarship fund is being targeted. I've already heard it on GIR. They're targeting that scholarship program, and it hasn't been implemented yet, so you don't have students going. They do have numbers of requests for it, so people will be impacted if they take the scholarship program away. And one of the things that I try to push back when I hear people talking about it, it's a voucher program, you're sending people to private school. It's no. If you have a better performing public school, let's just say in our town, and don't take this anyone if they're from Sandown. If you are in Sandown and your kids are going to Sandown school, but yet you think Hampstead is a much better school district, you can use that money to move them from Sandown to the Hampstead public school system. So it's not limited to just private education or charter schools. You can also use it, and this is something that people are not aware of. And that's what I've used on I have a little TV show in Hampstead. That's what I've used to try and push the idea that this can actually benefit Hampstead. This can, if you have my other town is Kingston. If you have a better performing schools in Kingston, then market your school system to bring these kids in. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Croc TV.